Hi, I'm Greg Briggs, owner and president of Terra Realty and Management Group, a San Antonio, Texas-based property management company. I've been asked, how do you maximize the return on your investment property in San Antonio? First of all, there isn't any one single thing that will achieve this goal. It's a culmination of a whole bunch of little things that you do. The main thing that we want to do is we want to maximize the net income while at the same time minimizing the expenses. To maximize the net income means that we need to achieve the highest rent possible with the fewest number of vacant days. So once you have a tenant in a property and their lease is coming up for renewal, I have a lot of people that say, hey, listen, let's just keep the rent where it's at. I want that tenant to stay. You know, that makes sense, but the problem is if you do that after a couple of years, you're going to find your entire portfolio is way behind market rent. And then if you want to try and close that gap, you're going to lose a lot of tenants. Because if you raise the rent 2 to 3 to 5% a year, your tenant's probably going to just take that no problem at all. The cost for a tenant to move into a new unit, getting a rental van, taking days off work and all that, it's not only a big hassle and a big headache, but it costs money. So it's rare that a tenant's going to move over a 3 to 4 to 5% rent increase. However, if you find yourself all of a sudden that you have a $1,200 rental that you're only charging $1,000 on, it's very hard to make that gap up without losing your tenant. Okay, so the first thing is to always try and raise the rent, but not always try and raise it to the maximum amount, just a little bit at a time. So after we've dealt with the rental side, now we need to deal with a little bit more on the expense side. And there's a couple of things that you can do right off the bat that are very easy and make a big difference. The first thing is make sure that you shop for your property insurance every year. Review your insurance policy when the renewal comes in and make sure that you are getting good insurance for your dollar. And this may require you to shop around a little bit. Another item you can do is you can look at your property taxes. When that valuation comes out every year, take a look at it. And does it make sense? Ask your property manager. Does this value make sense for my property? Because if it doesn't make sense, then you need to go ahead and protest your tax valuation, because property taxes and insurance are a very big part of the expense side. Your next biggest expense is going to be the interest rate on your mortgage, and this is something I find investors making mistakes all the time about. If you have a very small loan amount, say under $100,000, sometimes you need to save 2% or more on your interest rate for it to really make sense to do a refinance. If you have a $200,000 loan, that's a different story. Sometimes, you might find that you have a 5.5% interest rate loan, and that refinancing to a 4.5% rate is going to save you a lot of money and may be cost effective. But what you have to remember is you have to take all those costs for the refinance and figure out how long does it take me to get my money back for doing this refinance. So if you're spending $4,000, $4,500 on a refinance and it's going to take you 6 years to save that much money in interest, it doesn't make a lot of sense. Really, you want to be able to recoup your refinance cost within a 2 to 3 year period max. Okay? Now, I have a bunch of blogs that have been out there on a lot of little subjects, and really all of these little things have to do with maximizing the return on your investment. First of all, doing annual inspections on your property, making sure your tenant knows how to care for your property, following up on any little preventive maintenance issues that may be out there. It's very critical. So there's no one thing that you can do to maximize your return. It's a culmination of a whole bunch of things. And the first thing I'm going to tell you is you got to get it out of your mind, the homeowner mentality, where you're going to go in there and you're going to put that fancy faucet in the bathroom. Before you do any improvements on your property, ask yourself 2 questions. 1, how much more rent can I get for spending this money? 2, how much more in future repair expenses do I have by installing this item? So if you take both those items into consideration, you're now looking at this as an investor and not as a homeowner that happens to have a rental property. So really, to maximize the rate of return on your investment, there's a bunch of things you need to do. Keep the rents up high, but not so high that you have a long vacancy. Every year when that lease comes up for renewal, raise it a little bit. Every year, keep an eye on your expenses and reevaluate. Can I reduce my cost on my taxes or my insurance or my interest rate? And the most important thing is figure out how to keep your tenant happy so they stay for a long time. Because the longer that tenant stays, the better the return on your investment is going to be. Because the biggest expense that you have in real estate that you never ever recoup is a day's lost rent. If you'd like to talk more about this, you can contact us at terrarealtysa.com through our website, or you can try and call us at 210-349-9966.